This man looks like he could run the entire city, a hardened crime lord you'd never dare cross. But instead, he spends his days as a foreman on a construction site, quietly watching over the safety of every worker. His name is Levon Cade. Once, he was an elite special forces soldier. Now, he just wants a simple, ordinary life. Levon is close with the family that owns the construction company. The owner, Joe Garcia, his wife Carla, and their daughter treat him like one of their own, often inviting him over just to talk. But one afternoon, mid-conversation, Levon turns his head and notices a pickup truck rolling up outside. A group of heavy-set, thuggish men climb out. Something about them tells Levon these aren't ordinary visitors. So without a word to anyone, he slips out alone to see what's going on. That's when he spots them harassing one of the site's junior workers. Levon quietly picks up a handful of iron nails and walks over. "Mind your own business," one of them snaps.
Bajen las armas. Aguanten. Que aguanten con una chingada.
But little did Levon know, trouble was already circling someone close to him. Once things settled, he figured only that junior worker had seen it all. But in truth, the owner's daughter, Jenny, had witnessed everything too. Still, Jenny promised she wouldn't tell a soul, and only then did Levon breathe easy. Apart from work, once every week Levon has to take his young daughter to his father-in-law's house for a meal. But the moment the old man sees him, he throws it in his face that Levon couldn't save his own wife and doesn't even earn enough to raise his little girl. Levon swallows every word in silence because this is the only time all week he gets to see his daughter. While Levon is enjoying a good weekend with his daughter, the owner's daughter walks straight into danger. To celebrate finishing her studies, Jenny goes out to a wild party with her friends. They're having the time of their lives, with no idea that someone is watching them. Among the crowd, a group of traffickers has locked eyes on the beautiful Jenny, and a kidnapping plan is set in motion. Tired from the party, Jenny and her friends head to a pub, where the bartender, a man named Johnny, is quietly keeping watch. The second Jenny slips off to the washroom, Johnny messages the men waiting outside. As she steps back out, a thug suddenly appears, knocks her out cold, and hauls her into a car. The next day, when Levon returns to work, he sees two police officers just leaving. He quickly asks Joe what happened and learns that Jenny vanished over the weekend, with no trace of her for 2 days. And here, the local police rarely take missing person cases seriously, which means the fear of something terrible happening to Jenny is very real. Out of options, Joe begs Levon to help find his daughter. "Save my child," because Joe knows Levon is a retired Special Forces soldier, and with those skills, he could surely find her. But Levon refuses. He left that life behind long ago, and now he only wants to live in peace, like an ordinary man. Hearing this, Joe and Carla immediately bring out a large sum of cash, their life savings. If Levon helps, it's all his. But how could Levon take that money? These people are his friends. The truth is, it weighs on him. So he drives out of the city. As he steps out of his car, an arrow comes flying and nearly buries itself in his head. It turns out an old army buddy of his lives here, a bearded man whose life hasn't been easy either. He lost both his eyes in the war. His name is Gunny. Levon, heavy-hearted, tells him everything, that he's worried about Jenny too, that he'd once promised to keep her safe, but that he's afraid of losing the peaceful life he's built for himself and his daughter. After Gunny talks him through it, Levon's mind is made up. He leaves Gunny's place, goes to Jenny's home, and takes one look at her broken father, and he remembers. When his own wife died, it was this kind couple who took him in and gave him a job. Maybe now the time has come to repay that debt. Levon is a man of his word. As a former Special Forces soldier, he's deeply experienced, so the first job is reconnaissance. He goes to the pub Jenny disappeared from and, at first glance, grows suspicious of the bartender, Johnny, because on the side, the young man is quietly dealing white powder. And after all, in this world, the drug trade and human trafficking run hand in hand. Levon then heads to the alley behind the pub, outside the washroom, where he finds a single pearl. It looks like this is exactly where Jenny was taken. When Johnny finishes his shift, Levon follows him all the way home. Johnny is enjoying a smoke when he notices someone has slipped inside. He reaches for his gun, but the moment he sees the weapon in Levon's hand, he freezes, trembling. Without wasting a breath, Levon shows him Jenny's photo and asks where the girl is hidden. But Johnny plays dumb and flatly denies knowing anything. Seeing that the boy won't talk, just then, one of Johnny's partners shows up, and Johnny seizes the chance to scream for help. The partner instantly pulls a gun. Levon takes Johnny hostage and opens the door, but the partner doesn't care and sprays bullets. Levon drops both thugs, one after another. Afterward, Levon tears open a thug's shirt, and seeing the tattoo on his chest, understands exactly who he's dealing with. The Russian Brotherhood, the Bratva. And that's a problem, because the Brotherhood is the biggest and most powerful criminal group in the Russian mafia. Levon takes the drug money, stages a fake robbery scene, then hides by the door and waits so he can find out who's above these men. Before long, a car pulls up, and a man in a suit arrives with two thugs. He looks over the state of the house, but he couldn't care less that someone's dead. His only focus is the missing money. In a rage, he cracks one of his own men across the face. From outside, Levon watches it all. Then a van pulls in, and out step a group of cleaning women, the Brotherhood's special cleaners, whose job is to make bodies disappear so the police never find a single trace. Seeing the boss head to his car, Levon quietly follows him to a large villa. With no one else home, he slips straight inside. He grabs a glass and smashes it over the boss's head, and before the man can even react, ties him to the edge of the swimming pool. When the boss, a captain named Wolo, comes to, he assumes Levon has come to start a gang war. So he threatens him that if he's harmed a single man of the Brotherhood, they'll wipe out 3 generations of his family. But Levon couldn't care less. He simply dumps the money into the pool. He doesn't want it. He only wants the girl. Wolo looks at the photo and claims he doesn't know her. But when Levon names the pub Jenny vanished from, Wolo understands exactly who did this. He just wasn't going to say it. Instead, thinking Levon won't understand Russian, he starts cursing him in his own language. Seeing he'll get nothing more, Levon simply cuts the rope and sends the man to his death in the pool. But his effort wasn't wasted. He'd just recorded everything Wolo said in Russian. After translating it, he learns the name of the man who kidnapped Jenny, Dimi. To find this man, Levon uses his powerful network and calls an old army friend at the American Drug Agency. That's when he gets his information. His friend tells him Dimi is the youngest and most powerful figure in the Brotherhood, dealing mainly in drugs and human trafficking. Levon also learns that Dimi runs a bar that doubles as a drug den. That very night, Levon shows up there. His new look is very different, so a bouncer quickly comes over. Levon pulls out a stack of cash and lays it on the table, and the bouncer takes him straight into the VIP area. There, a black man sits in the middle, likely the boss of the bar. His name is Dutch. Levon prepares to work his way in among the enemy, playing the part of a man who wants to partner up selling white powder. Dutch doesn't buy it. He thinks Levon might be a cop, so he tells his men to test him. Dutch stops him. He can see now that Levon isn't a cop, but a retired soldier. That eases his suspicion. And Levon had come fully prepared, with solid knowledge of drug market rates. Dutch can't find a single flaw, and agrees to a secret deal. The next morning, Levon meets 2 of Dutch's men at a breakfast spot. He brings the money as told, but they don't hand over the product. They just toss a phone at him. So Levon stands, dumps the entire table onto their breakfast, and warns them not to try anything clever. They don't dare say a word. As Levon drives away, the new phone rings. It's Dutch, telling him the product is under the seat. Levon takes one look at the packet of drugs and throws it straight into the river. Slowly, Levon is closing in on the Brotherhood's inner circle, but he still hasn't met Dimi, and every passing day pushes Jenny closer to danger. Levon is still working out how to reach Dimi when the chance walks right up to him. Dutch calls again, inviting him the next day to discuss a longer partnership, and tells him to come in a suit because important people will be there. Early the next morning, Levon buys himself a suit. Dressed like a big-time boss, he arrives at the Brotherhood's branch. After being searched several times, Levon is brought before the head of the operation. At first, the man says nothing, just stares at Levon, and finally speaks. "My name is Dimi." Something stirs in Levon. This is exactly the man he'd been hunting. Dimi clearly works with great care. He'd taken Levon's driver's license and run a background check, and once he was satisfied there was no problem, he smiled, sealed the partnership, and handed Levon a briefcase. In the washroom, Levon opens it to find nothing but blue pills. He flushes every last one down the toilet. After so much effort, he'd finally reached Demi, but there was still no word on Jenny. So Levon starts going through Jenny's social media. Suddenly, he notices that in her photos, there's always one man staring at her. And when he checks Johnny the bartender's phone, he finds the chat between that man and Johnny too. Levon traces the man's location, and it leads to the very bar Demi controls. Finally, he has a real lead, and he rushes straight to that bar, but he doesn't go in. Instead, he hides in his car and studies the situation. What he doesn't realize is that someone is watching his moves too. A woman outside, Artemis, had spotted him earlier, and after seeing all this on the cameras, she's now certain something's off about him. So she immediately sends her men to grab him. Seeing the cars closing in, Levon senses the danger. He backs off fast, steals a motorcycle, and races away, with the cars chasing hard behind him. The thugs fire as they pursue, but when they can't hit him from the moving cars, one of them steps out to take aim and actually lands a shot on Levon. He skids and crashes into a police car. As Levon barely manages to crawl out and sees an officer stepping from the car, he thinks he's safe, but the woman who shot him walks up to that officer and starts talking to him. It seems this cop had already been bought. The policewoman raises her gun and knocks Levon out cold. Then he's thrown into a Brotherhood vehicle. When he comes to, he sees two more thugs in front of him, out for revenge, who want to throw him into the river too. But Levon is no ordinary man. Levon climbs out, looks at the teetering truck, and with a single kick, sends both brothers to their watery grave. The two brothers soon end up in the morgue, where an old man comes to see them. He's a major leader of the Brotherhood, and the godfather of those two brothers, their father, Simon. Furious, Simon immediately calls an emergency meeting, where several top leaders discuss the recent events. Simon knows how serious this is, so he sends two of his top hitmen, along with an old man dressed in black, on a mission. They first take the killers to Demi's bar. One hitman sprays the ceiling with an AK rifle, scaring off all the customers. A bald hitman turns to Demi and says, "I'm going to kill you, fool!" Demi still has no idea what's happening, until Levon's photo is placed in front of him. That's when he realizes his business partner was actually their enemy. But it isn't really Demi's fault, because information isn't fully shared between the Brotherhood's different groups. After a threat from the old man in black, Demi finally remembers one crucial clue: Levon's driver's license. With a little work from their hackers, Levon's entire life is laid bare, including the details of his family. A short while later, as Levon is driving, he suddenly gets a call from his daughter's school. The teacher says no one came to pick her up today, so Levon goes to get her himself. On the way back from school, he stops at his father-in-law's house, only to find it engulfed in flames. Sensing the danger, Levon rushes inside and pulls people to safety. He sees his father-in-law, barely clinging to life. Levon immediately lifts him onto his back and runs out. This was exactly why, in the beginning, he hadn't wanted to save Jenny. Paying a price like this isn't something everyone can bear. So, for his daughter's safety, Levon takes her out of the city and leaves her at his friend Gunny's house. After learning everything, Gunny takes Levon to his warehouse, where every kind of weapon is hidden. Gunny recommends the M14 rifle above all, a superb and deadly weapon that wreaks havoc in both close and long-range fights. Meanwhile, as Jenny is being moved, the thugs try to grope her, but Jenny is no pushover. She lands a hard kick against the front seat, sending the car straight into a tree, and the airbags deploy. Seizing the moment, Jenny bolts. Her will to survive pulls out every ounce of her strength, and she gives both pursuing thugs the slip. When Jenny reaches the road, she sees a police car right in front of her and immediately runs to it for help. The policewoman who steps out says she'll take her home, but instead, she brings Jenny to a heavily guarded estate. When Jenny sees those same two thugs from before, she realizes they're all part of the same gang. She's landed right back in the mafia's den. Meanwhile, Levon has reached Demi's bar. He comes in quietly, and before anyone can get out, He takes one thug down and moves forward. Clearing the goons from his path, Levon slips deeper inside. Another thug arrives and finds a body. Levon suddenly appears and drives a knife straight into him, shoves him toward the wall, throws a punch, then a kick that sends him crashing away. Then, firing as he goes, Levon climbs the stairs and comes face to face with Demi. Demi has a woman hostage, gun pointed at her, but Levon fires a single shot that goes clean through Demi's palm. Then Levon pulls out Jenny's photo, and Demi finally understands all of this is for this one girl. Jenny had been kidnapped by his own men because someone had bid $2 million for her. At gunpoint, Demi leads Levon to the main compound. After they get out of the car, the two exchange a few final words. Once that's done, Levon puts on a bulletproof vest, slings the M14 rifle across his back, and the real war begins. First, with a silenced pistol, he picks off the snipers perched in the trees near the house. Then, using the gaps between the patrolling guards, he quietly reaches the main gate. He hides in the dark, waits for his moment, and moves. He drops one, then puts 2 bullets into another. Meanwhile, poor Jenny is brought into a filthy bathroom and strung up. A fat, wealthy man comes to the door and moves toward her, meaning to assault her. But right then, Levon reaches the spot and throws a hand grenade into the gallery. He raises the M14 to his shoulder. A young thug steps out. From point-blank range, Levon takes a perfect shot. His aim is flawless. Just then, Dutch arrives with a swarm of bikers. He orders his men to smash through the windows to pin Levon down. Now Levon has to dodge the motorcycles while returning fire. When a biker charges him, Levon steps up fast and puts 2 rounds into him. As he's reloading, a thug appears behind him. Levon drives a strike straight into his chest. Another closes in, and Levon wounds him badly with another shot, grabs his arm, and buries a knife in his stomach. Dutch tries to surround him, but Levon strikes between a thug's legs, spins him, and slams him to the ground. When the thug tries to hit back, Levon doesn't retreat. He stabs him in the stomach, then throws him onto a table. One final killing blow, and the last of Dutch's strength drains away. Levon doesn't stop there. He drags him by the neck and finishes him for good. After slamming a fresh magazine into the rifle, Levon presses on to find Jenny. Suddenly he hears her voice. He follows it and kicks the door open. The fat, wealthy man is standing there. When Levon kills him, the thugs open fire wildly at the door. Once they've emptied their guns, Levon rushes forward and lands a powerful kick. He grabs one thug and hurls him at the window, then drags him to the edge of the bathtub and scrubs him hard, telling him he'll never treat human beings this way again, that he'll never traffic another soul. Seizing the moment, Jenny grabs the thug's neck and with all her strength, snaps it. At last, Levon has saved Jenny, but the story isn't over yet. The hitmen sent by the Brotherhood's leader arrive as well, and by chance, that corrupt policewoman shows up too, after getting word. The 2 hitmen have no idea she belongs to their own gang. They open fire on the police car until it becomes a ball of flame. The bald hitman spots Levon and starts raining bullets at the door. The long-haired thug joins the fight too, not caring whether he's getting hit, just firing away. Levon can't lift his head out, so he opens the phone cover strapped to his chest, slides the barrel of his gun out, and uses the Bluetooth thermal camera mounted on it. On the phone screen, he lines up the enemy and pulls the trigger. Watching his partner die, the bald hitman quickly ducks for cover, but Levon gives him no chance and sends him a deadly parting gift. And with that, he's wiped out every last enemy. Levon sets his rifle down on the table and quietly says goodbye to it. Before leaving, Jenny throws one last defiant gesture back at that house. The old leader, whose 2 sons are now dead, stands in the courtyard and watches his enemy walk away. He immediately calls the Brotherhood's main boss and demands even more dangerous men. But the boss believes that since Levon has rescued the girl and left, he won't trouble them anymore, and this matter should be dropped right here. He even warns the old leader that if he drags this out, the Brotherhood will show him no mercy, because the gang's interests come above all. With no choice left, the old leader silently hangs up and lets out a scream of pure helplessness, so raw it barely sounds human. Meanwhile, Levon safely brings Jenny home. Watching her reunite with her family, Levon feels he did the right thing. He saved a family from being torn apart, and that is where this story comes to an end.